Thank you all for joining us this afternoon on International Women's Day, and I'm delighted to be hosting this panel as part of Don't Tone Alone. It's a fantastic opportunity, and thank you all for your time. I appreciate that it is a weekday and that everyone is busy, especially during lunchtime, so I really appreciate that you could all attend. So as many of you know, Don't Turn Alone is a community interest company, and our profits are reinvested back into developing services to the communities that we serve. And Don't Turn Alone tries to find healthy solutions in unhealthy circumstances and provide service users with the tools to lead happier and healthier lives, and help them create greater social impact as well along the way. So my name is Rebecca, and I serve as the Communications and Research Specialist for Don't Tone Alone. So there's no doubt this last year that COVID has been difficult for many people and has affected many of us in so many different ways. And the reason why we wanted to have this panel this afternoon is because carers, as our core participant group, are largely made up of females. And many of the organisations that we work with as well have female staff members, female members of management, as well as CEOs. So the interests and health and well-being of women is extremely important to Don't Tone Alone as we try to provide solutions for them. So we've got some fantastic guests this afternoon. Michelle has just joined us. Michelle is one of our guests as well. Hello, Michelle. So we have Roisin, we have Basha, we have Maria, and Michelle, and they will be just providing with a little bit of insight into their experiences of COVID and some of the issues to do with women's health that have affected them, and also providing solutions on how to combat these issues as well. So the first person we're going to be speaking with is Roisin. So Roisin is the Corporate Relationships Manager for Don't Tone Alone, and is also a volunteer for Mind, which is a mental health charity. So Roisin is going to be discussing the issue of isolation and loneliness with us today. So Roisin, thank you for joining us on the panel, and you're welcome to unmute your mic whenever you'd like there. But Roisin is very passionate about mental health and the importance of mental health practices both within the workplace and within the home as well. And as we know, millions of people have been working from home this past year. And as of February 15th this year, approximately 11.2 million jobs had been furloughed, and 1.72 million people were out of work, according to the National Office of Statistics. So as a result, millions of people are spending a lot, if not all of their time at home, working, shielding, caring, or simply following the government's advice, and that has certainly had an impact on women and feelings of isolation there. So Roisin, as somebody who's an expert in this field, how serious do you believe the issue of social isolation to be in the UK, and what impact does that have on women's well-being?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to start with that point, and thanks for having me on, by the way. It's lovely to be here and celebrate International Women's Day and raise awareness. So yeah, you touched on a few important statistics there, and I was going to dive in specifically how that affects women. That's why we're here. I mean, no doubt isolation, social isolation, loneliness has been across the board, adults and children, but you know, according to the ONS as well, like you've referenced, women are more likely to experience some form of depression, some form of anxiety than men within what's happened in the COVID restrictions in the last year. And the last data I had seen anyway specifying was around November 2020, when around 2 in 10 women experienced some form of depression. around 22%, and anxiety 21%. So you're comparing that with like 15%, 13% of men respectively. And then I saw a higher proportion of younger adults, women, disabled adults, and those whose households were unable to afford an unexpected but necessary expense of £850 extra, reported some form of depression, some form of anxiety. Obviously, extra factors came from that as well, financial issues, and those, as you say, have been furloughed or even have lost their jobs. I mean, we all know, and people on this on the call here know, it's difficult enough to be caring for individuals outside of a pandemic, but this pandemic has really homed into other issues that have resulted in the lack of socialization and loneliness. So yeah, it is massive, and more so for women, which we've seen from this. So it's good to be aware of that. Yeah.
So, Roisin, do you think the issue of isolation at this point in the pandemic, do you think that it's getting worse, or do you think it's getting better? Do you think that the return to schools is going to have an impact on this, or, you know, as we eventually come out of lockdown, what impact do you think that's going to have?
Yeah, it's a good question, because like you'd think, you know, schools have gone back today in the UK, and you know, we have the vaccine in the UK. We're very much quick to be administrating that in comparison to other countries. So on a physical sense, I think things are improving. Of course, people aren't catching the virus and, you know, not dying from it as a result as much because of those protective measures. However, I wanted to kind of hone in on the whole mental health side of things as well, and that yes, there have been mental health issues during the year that have exacerbated, and that's not to say they'll go away just because COVID is diminishing the population either, especially for women. So I think that side of things, there will be a lot of work that will need to be done on kind of how we will look to relieve the mental health effects from this pandemic. And you know, it is good to see in the UK, at least anyway, there's been an appointed spokesperson, Dr. Alex George, on that behalf for mental health issues, and funding going in there. But yes, it would be great to see that specifically on the issues of women. And you know, I and hopefully, yes, like parents, I'm not a parent myself, so it'd be hard to talk about this on a personal level, but I'd imagine that burden of stress having to homeschool as well as everything else that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis will be greatly appreciated with the kids going back to school. So there are both sides to that argument for sure.
Thanks, Roisin. You've been very passionate about normalising mental health inside and outside of COVID. It's something that you're very happy to talk about. Delving into your own experiences, what impact did the pandemic have on your mental health?
Yeah, happy to, you know, open up about that. I think it's important that we don't feel alone here. So I spent the first lockdown closing the door on a job I chose to, you know, finish on my own terms. I had the privilege to just say, look, I want some time off and get and I had an expectation of getting some freedom back to gain clarity on what I wanted to do next. So lockdown threw the idea of wanting to travel and explore out the window. Obviously, that was what I wanted to do. And I am someone who is open about having some issues with anxiety. The lack of control I suddenly had over my life presented an initial response of fear and panic, which I'm sure a lot of people had as well. But knowing myself as a person, I would identify very much as an extroverted individual. I thrive off company. I was separated from my partner as well during the first lockdown. So, you know, I wasn't comfortable with big changes, the changes that happen out of my control, at least anyway. And at one point I did catch myself. I've been living in the UK, as you can probably tell from my accent, from Ireland originally. So I've been living in the UK up 6 years then. literally caught myself just for the first time saying out loud, you know, I'd rather go back home than be stuck in my situation. Just, you know, being with one other housemate, not being able to kind of rely on those that I would have core reliances on. So that bit was tough, and I guess it just made it easier talking about it. But yeah, I know we'll go on to some solutions in a moment, but yeah, just know that we're not alone. Everyone has their own story, really.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And I think that, I suppose, in general, it's so easy for us to talk about the issue of loneliness, but it takes a little bit more to be able to discuss what we're experiencing ourselves. So thank you very much for opening up about that. But in terms of the solutions and how you decided to attack this head on, what did you decide to do about this, and what advice would you have for us?
Yeah, look, I must say the flip side of it, and I'm very much a silver lining, half glass full kind of person. You know, I did tap very much into my love of learning. So I took the extra time I gained my days to explore, you know, some new courses online, just putting it out there. A lot of them are free as well. So I went onto my local council website. There's plenty of kind of like well-being and courses, and people obviously know who access Don't Own Alone as well. I have an interest in the subject of well-being and personal development, so I kind of immersed myself in gaining as much knowledge surrounding this area as I could. And then in essence, I got to understand myself a bit better as a person. So there's definitely the silver lining in that, having kind of time to slow down. And even admitting to myself, you know, what I truly enjoy from my life, and having that headspace to get some form of clarity that I was searching for before quitting my job. So in a way, that time out did help me to almost achieve that initial goal I had of taking a year off. So I lived with one other housemate, as I said, during a good chunk of the pandemic. I knew I had to trust myself when no one I could perhaps usually rely on was around, like I mentioned. So yeah, anyone who kind of experiences anxiety would know, and they appreciate that keeping a daily routine is super beneficial for your mental health. We didn't have much control over what was happening in the world. So I found that I could depend on integrating an exercise regime, regular meal times, getting sufficient sleep, basics, writing gratitude lists, making digital connections into my day. All of those little things added up to make a huge difference. Those were some factors that I underpinned my ability really to stay positive and serve as good habits. And I'm glad to say I still adopt them today, and they're like non-negotiables now. Like they're my key pieces to tap into whenever I'm feeling in any way anxious. There are things that there are tools I can resort to look after myself. Basic but easily accessible to most people.
That's fantastic, Roisin. You listed some really amazing things there, and it sounds like you really just took it head on. Were there any solutions you tried perhaps that you decided, no, actually this isn't for me, or anything, you know, tried and tested that didn't work for you along the way?
Yeah, I think sometimes you can identify what you like more so from the things you don't like as opposed to things you do like. Trial and error. I am one for trying anything really that's good. But you know, when I say I like to learn and I like to go on course and things like that, I mean, you have these people talking about baking banana bread and learning a new language. Like, you know, that's great. They're suggestions, but it's just about like giving a suggestions to what works for you. So if that's not what you like doing, but you like taking a walk every day or something, that's fine. It doesn't mean you have to do absolutely everything that's being suggested right now. So I wouldn't say there wasn't anything I really didn't like doing, but I suppose just maybe some things that I found a bit more realistic to achieve on a day-to-day basis, as opposed to feeling like I have all of these things I need to do, and just relaxing that expectation on myself is the most important thing. And just, yeah.
Fantastic. That's great. Roisin, thanks very much for providing your insights there and your feedback on loneliness and for just revealing a bit of your personal experience. Thank you for that. Next, we're going to move on to Maria. I'm just going to unmute your mic there. Just a moment. See. Maria, if you could just click on mute there, that would be great. Thank you very much. Thanks, Maria.
Okay.
Fantastic. So Maria is a unpaid carer and mother and has been availing of our classes at Don't Own Alone for several years now. Week in, week out, Maria is training with us come hail or come shine. So she has been a fantastic inspiration to other carers, and despite the challenges, Maria, that you face as a carer, balancing homeschooling with managing a home and being a mother, you've just been there for yourself and have been invested in your self-care, which is fantastic. So Maria, it would be amazing if you could provide these lovely women with a little bit of insight into your role as a carer and a little bit of your backstory.
I'm married with 2 teenagers. I have a boy who's 19, he's at university or homeschooling at the moment, and a girl who's 15. My daughter has additional needs, various additional needs, and she attends a specialist speech language school. So I'm a carer to her, who I help support her with her education and other needs that she has.
Very good. So I suppose your role as a carer would have been difficult regardless of the pandemic anyway. It certainly has its challenges, but what additional challenges did you face as a carer when the pandemic struck last year?
Yeah, day-to-day challenges, trying to motivate and encourage my daughter and support her in her schooling and her emotional needs, trying to encourage friendships, which was very difficult during lockdown. She felt very isolated, and I felt very helpless as a mother as to how to help on that. So she lost all social interaction, and this has obviously been extremely hard during COVID. And friendships is one of the things that she does require help and support with. So that was just completely taken away from her, which it was upsetting to see how much she was struggling during this time, and especially the first lockdown. That was just really, really tough.
I can imagine. And witnessing that as well, like as a mother, what impact did that have on your mental health?
It was upsetting. I'd get quite teary seeing her upset and just locking herself, just shutting herself in her bedroom. She wasn't really communicating. The first lockdown, as I say, was very difficult and very confusing, especially for her. I found it very hard to motivate her in her work and just how to just get out of the house. I couldn't get her out of the house. With schools being closed, obviously she's been on her phone a lot, TV a lot. With the second lockdown, it's been slightly better with the school closure. She's working towards her GCSE. She's in year 11. So she's been able to just get on with her work and sit down and do her work. But obviously, I'm there to support her if she gets stuck or anything. But some of the maths questions, honestly, I mean, I'm not a teacher. So, just having to research things. But unfortunately, homeschooling doesn't take up the whole day. So the rest of the day, it will be screen time again and just trying to get her out. I could get her out of the house maybe once or twice a week. I'd try and encourage her to come down just to pop to the shop, and it would just be a no. And I'm not sure if I think there's also the fear factor of COVID also there. She doesn't want to go to any shops.
So that must have been challenging day in, day out with no break at all. Wow. Of course, as well, because I'm not a mother either, so I can only imagine what that must have felt like. However, you were fantastic, because not only were you putting in that time in our classes, self-care for yourself, but you were also motivating other carers along the way to show up. How were you able to create that time and just, you know, set that hour for those classes aside for yourself? Where did you find the motivation to do that?
There would be days when obviously I'd be feeling tired and I wouldn't want to do the classes, but I push myself. I do push myself to attend. And the only way that I would find time is I would tell the family, this is my time. It's only 1 hour. There are occasions when they'd be interrupting me. My daughter will be interrupting me, asking me questions while I'm trying to do the class. So I'm doing both at the same time. But I just mentally, I have to make the time to attend the classes. It's only 1 hour. And to me, that's important. That's my time, because if I didn't have the classes, I'd just be lost. They've really kept me going.
That's fantastic. And that's, I'm sure, as well as for Basha to hear that as well. Basha is level 4 specialist health trainer here with us at Don't Toll Alone, and has been working with Maria now for several years. So I'm sure Basha to hear that must be...
No, sorry
really nice
to interrupt.
and
Basha has known me since the lockdown.
Wow. Okay, so it's been a relatively new relationship then.
Yes. Previously, I used to attend a class that Chris ran in Kingston.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And for anyone who doesn't know Chris is the director of Don't Toll Alone, and set it up in 2007. So you've worked with a number of our trainers, and Fran as well.
Yeah.
Who's another excellent trainer with us at Don't Toll Alone. Maria, just to wrap up on the questions, often I've observed in speaking with carers throughout the pandemic and just gaining an insight on what's affecting them, time is a huge factor. Trying to find time to attend sessions in and amongst caring, in and amongst full-time jobs, and balancing career with caring.
Yeah.
Some carers are caring for more than one person as well, and it makes it really, really challenging to find time for oneself. What advice would you have for any carer who's struggling and wants to invest time in their health and well-being, doesn't know if it's going to be worth it, doesn't know if the classes are going to be suitable for them, or might be just a little bit afraid about taking that first step? What would you have to say to them?
I would say I understand every carer's role is different. I just think time for yourself is very important, mentally, emotionally, and physically. As I've said before, if I didn't have the classes, I think I would have been depressed. They've really helped lift me and keep me going. And I have just made that time for myself. And I encourage carers, if they can make this just that short space of time, even if it's just one class a week, just to make yourselves feel better emotionally and mentally and physically. I always come out of the class at the end of it feeling so good. It's me time, and it's important. Mm-hmm. Because if you get completely burnt out yourself, how can the carer be good, be helpful to the person that they're caring for?
Absolutely. Yeah. So not only are you doing this for yourself, but you're bringing your best self to work every day by investing this time in you,
Absolutely.
which is great. It
No,
reminds me as
that's-
well, I forgot to say it earlier, but Roisin is an avid runner and creates time to go running every single day, and that's been a great source of stress relief for you. But I forgot to mention it earlier, but it's great to hear everyone's different techniques. I've been speaking to many people who have been doing some of our energy classes with Fran as well, and just the relief that they're experiencing, focusing on their breath, meditating. And it's different for everybody. Some people prefer more strenuous forms of exercise. Other people like yoga or Pilates. Everyone is different, and it's really important to find a form of exercise that works for you. But speaking of other methods, just going to move on now to Michelle. Michelle, thanks for joining us today.
Hello everyone.
Hello. So Michelle, you have been working with Don't Own Alone for some time now, and you are on the board as well and have decades of experience working with various charities and institutions providing financial advice, etc. And you're also a nutrition and weight management advisor, so you've got your fingers in many different pies.
Yeah, with the weight management, it was kind of not an accident, but it's because I suffer with my weight. I've always had a weight problem, and that's how comes I got into nutrition. Yeah, so yeah.
Fantastic. But in regards to Don't Own Alone and your interest in health and well-being, can you provide just a little bit of your background?
Okay. When I left school, I've always wanted to work with people. I just love working with people. I love seeing people being the best that they can be, no matter what difficulties, what disabilities, whatever you've got. There's always the best that you could be. So at school, I was led down the wrong career path. So I went into accounting, which I had an aptitude for figures, so they put me into accounting. But I wasn't happy because even though I was good at it, I wasn't helping people. I was just making bosses have bigger bonuses and stuff like that, and I didn't like that. So I decided I'm going to go into charities, and so I started to do finance for charities. But when you work for a charity, if you don't know, you get involved with everything, and I mean, it was so satisfying and so rewarding. And it was at a charity called Community Network that I actually met Chris, who was the director of Don't Own Alone. And that charity, we was dealing with people who were isolated. So it was people who couldn't get out because of their disability, because of their age. And we used to connect like-minded people by the phone and facilitate phone groups. Chris eventually left that company to set up his own company. And he said to me, Michelle, I want to pilot a Fit by Phone program for carers. And he said, would I do the pilot with him? And I agreed, and I'm sitting here now.
And here we all are today.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I was going to mention Fit by Phone a little bit later, but that is it's one fantastic service that we have, and I know Chris, I know yourself, and so many other people are so proud of what it is now. It's huge, and it's helped so many carers along the way, transform their lives. But just returning to your experiences specifically, Michelle. So obviously you've used many of DTA services in the past. Which class, aside from Fit by Phone, which other classes have you availed of, and what would you recommend?
I was going to say Fit by Phone, right? I want to talk about Fit by Phone because I just think that is absolutely amazing. When Chris asked me to do it, I didn't know how many people I will help, and and how it would help myself, because you've got carers together, and like Maria said, there's different types of carers. Yeah, so you know, some of them, it's like most of the day they're caring, some might have time, some might not have time. And to just get these people together, because what carers, like what Maria said, you never think of yourself, you always think about who you're caring for. So Fit by Phone was trying to make the carers realize that they are people too, and they need to take time out for themselves. And by sharing experiences, they were able to like change their eating habits and think more about themselves. And like by the end of the course, some of them would come and say to me, I feel so good. That dress I wanted to wear, I fitted into it. You know, I want to talk about this through the rooftops. And it was just so rewarding. Basha, I went to one of Basha's classes, and I think that's amazing as well. And was it Fran's? Fran's classes are great as well. You got the breathing, and there was somebody else who done a bit of Nordic walking, but that was at an event. So yeah, I think that if you could get involved with DTA's programs and the Fit by Phone, I think that it's really great for you carers, because you guys need to care for yourselves, like Maria said, before you can actually care for others. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for providing more details on the programs, Michelle, because I've done one of Basha's classes myself, one of the circuit training classes on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, she certainly puts you through your paces.
Yeah, she does.
She's great. Yeah, there's no stopping her, and she doesn't so much as break a sweat either. She's great, but she's really motivational as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Michelle, just to dive into your experiences of COVID, how has COVID been for you, and how has your experience in the last year been?
Okay, I've got a good story about COVID. So when COVID first came out, I was actually in Jamaica. So I went there for 2 weeks because we was meeting some family members for the first time. I'm a person, I like my fitness. I train every day and I watch what I eat. And the reason why I do that is because diabetes is in my family, and all my family, young and old, they've all got diabetes. I'm determined that I don't want to get it. The second week of the holiday, one morning I woke up, I went into the gym and I couldn't even walk on the treadmill. I thought, oh my God, what's wrong with me? I can't even walk on the treadmill. I couldn't lift no weights. I couldn't do anything. So I thought, okay, went back to my room, went down for breakfast. I couldn't eat. So basically, for the last week of the holiday, I just stayed in bed, and my sister tried to force feed me, and they tried to get me to go to the doctors, but I don't like doctors, so I wouldn't go. So the weekend, I managed to get the strength to actually get on the plane and come home, but I still had lost my taste buds. And then all of a sudden, I just wanted to eat rice. That's all I could eat was rice. My mum said to me, Michelle, please go to the doctors. So I said, all right, I'm going to go to the doctors. I went to the doctors. They said to me, you've got diabetes. So I said to the doctors, I ain't got diabetes. I said, I haven't been able to train for 4 weeks, and I've been eating rice. And I think that's why my blood sugar level, or whatever it is, that is up. I said to her, she said to me, okay, I'll tell you what I do. I'll give you 6 weeks, 6 weeks to see what you can do. So I said, I haven't got 6 weeks because I was traveling again in 4 weeks. This is before the travel restrictions. So I said, I'll come back in 4 weeks and I'm going to guarantee that I ain't got diabetes. I went home. I resumed my training. I ate healthily, cut out the rice, cut out the breads, cut out the things that I know is not good for diabetes, and ate more of the vegetables and stuff that was good for diabetes. 4 weeks later, I went back to the doctors. She just looked at me. She couldn't believe it. Not only had I lost weight, but I wasn't diabetic anymore. So for me, I know that it works. I know that training and eating healthily takes away a lot of diseases and stuff that you could get. And I know that if I stop training now, I'm likely to get diabetes. So that's all my inspiration I need. It's just making me feel so healthy and so good. You know, what more do you want? You know? So I always say to people, you know, watch what you eat. What you put in your body is really, really important. Yeah? And try to do your exercise. even if it's dancing. You like dancing? Play some music and dance, you know, anything. It doesn't have to be going to the gym or running on the roads. It could be things that you could do in your house. Pick up some bottles. Look, I'm exercising, you know. So, yeah, so that's me. That's my story in COVID.
That's fab. That's a very good story, Michelle. Thanks for sharing. So you turned that entire situation around, and you intrinsically motivated yourself just to sort it out. And I think that's phenomenal that you were able to do that. But not only do you have your own success story, you've also been motivating other people throughout lockdown over WhatsApp and social media. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Yeah, what happens is, because like since lockdown, I make sure that I go out for my walks and my runs. And I tell you something, I've seen so many beautiful places just by walking. So that's another thing you could do. If you go for walks, I didn't know there were certain parks in my area. I've only just discovered them. And it's like, gosh, I can't wait till lockdown. I'm going to have a picnic here and a picnic there. But then I also realised that a lot of people don't want to go outside and don't want to exercise, you know. So I'm thinking, what can I do to make it fun for them? So I started to do little videos at home. I'm saying, look, here's a chair. Look, I'm standing up. I'm sitting down. I'm exercising. Here's a bottle. Look, up and down, up and down. And I've been doing little videos like that, and little videos and sometimes on what I've been eating. And I didn't think anything of it, but then I started to get phone calls. Oh, Michelle, keep on doing your videos. It's really motivating us. Today I went for a walk with my son. Yeah, Michelle, I like that one that you did. I was able to do it, and I got my little bottles out or whatever. And then one morning I called my mum, and my mum said, you're disturbing me. I'm just doing the exercise you put on this morning. And I was like, wow, my mum's even doing it. So yeah, I've got a lot of feedback from it. So now I try to do it every single day. And it's just really good to know that I'm actually motivating people and getting them out there. And not only that, I say to families, because sometimes when I go out, I train with my nephew, who is in my bubble. But I go out and I'll train with my nephew, and like he's 17 and I'm 55. And I'm saying, look, we're training together. You could train with a member of your family, quality time. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing, trying to motivate people in that way.
That's fantastic. Michelle, seeing as you're somebody who has, you know, I suppose last year must have been quite scary visiting the doctor. I can't imagine how difficult that must have been, just hearing, you know, the words coming out of the doctor's mouth. But I suppose it's all well and good for an individual who has never had any scares or anything like this to, you know, attend the gym and exercise perhaps, and has never had any health concerns of their own. So many people, you know, take good health for granted, don't they? I know myself. It's at times when I get ill, that's when I start to think, oh my goodness, last week I was perfectly fine, and this week this has happened, and it really makes you think about what we take for granted. The reverse of that, then, I suppose, we have a lot of carers who have long-term conditions, who are battling different diseases, and might say something along the lines of, oh, you know, to me, you look perfectly fine and perfectly healthy. You don't know what it's like. It's very difficult to motivate yourself when you have X, Y, Z. As somebody who has turned a situation like that around, the diabetes situation, what words of advice would you have for somebody who thinks, what's the point?
There always is a point, and all of us are different. You like looking at me, and because I do my exercise, you might think that I'm fit and healthy, but obviously I'm getting old, so I get the aches and pains as well. But like, there is always something that you could do. I've got a lady in a wheelchair that's on my on my WhatsApp, and obviously she can't do the squats and things that I do. But she said, Michelle, when you was doing the arm exercises, I was able to do that today. So you've got to work with your disability. So if you can't move your legs, you can move your arms, you can move your waist. So there is you could dance. Look, I'm dancing and I'm not standing up. So you've got to work with your disability. So know what your capabilities are. You know, I work with my 17-year-old nephew. he runs around the stadium 7 times. I can't do it at his speed, so I do it at my speed. So know your limitations. But that doesn't mean that you can't do anything, because there's always something you can do. Even if you're in a wheelchair, you might just wheel yourself around. They've got Paralympics, haven't they? So there's always something that you can do. Just look in the mirror and say, I am me, I'm somebody. I haven't got no legs, but I've got arms, or I've got arms, but I haven't got no legs. There's always something that you could do. I'm too old to jump, but I could step. You know, there's always something that everyone could do. And just find your capabilities. That's what I would say to people.
That's great. Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah.
I personally found that very inspiring and want to start dancing in my chair. Thank you for that. You've been fantastic, and thanks for joining us. Our last guest today is Basha. So Basha, last but not least, you are a level 4 personal trainer and a health specialist at Don't Own Alone, and you have been leading the charge with Chris and Fran throughout lockdown, providing countless exercise classes and just being there motivating our participants week in and week out. So obviously Roisin has touched on isolation, Maria's touched on her own experience, and Michelle has provided that inspirational aspect as well. I just want to delve into the science a little bit, because obviously you're well informed on this. How important is it for women to be exercising?
As Michelle mentioned a few things, and Maria, and there's so many benefits on coming out of training, of exercising, but the main ones, and I will be talking about long-term benefits, are they lower blood pressure. Obviously, when we train, when we in the zone, the blood pressure might go quite high, and then sometimes we think, oh my God, like what's happening? But in the long term, it helps us to lower blood pressure. It reduces cholesterol and heart cardiovascular disease. It prevents diabetes, which Michelle was talking about, which is really, really important, because once we're training, obviously we want to have that eating on point as well. So one goes with another. So it's like a big circle. Mentally, it improves our mood, our cognitive functions, and also it all together, we're becoming healthier, and obviously it reduces mortality. So the healthier we are, we can live for longer. And as I said, everything comes together, one step after another.
So you've mentioned quite a few things there, both I suppose mental and physical. You have been, as I said, you've been leading the classes throughout lockdown, and obviously you have seen some women join the classes and become regulars. You've seen others fade away from various programs. What do you think is the main barrier preventing women from exercising at the moment?
So I think in general, female women, their workload in the home is disproportionate. We really, well, again, I'm not a mother. I'm living by myself, so I can't really talk as much. But I think women are expected to fulfill this caring, giving role for another member of the family, and obviously that gives us less time to take part in different physical activities. And obviously with the lockdown, there was homeschooling, and that took part like lots of time of our lives. And that's what I'm saying, like we might as working as well. So is the housework, is this homeschooling, is maybe even work, like maybe you still have to be sitting by the laptop and do some work as well. So I guess this is all like we are expected to do more once we're at home. And even the former Olympian Grace Thompson, who now is the chairman of UK Active, she's really concerned about mental and physical health, and she thinks there should be more done to create more time, more opportunities for women to get into physical activity, because as I mentioned before, it's so important, not only about physical health, but like the mental health. That's what Maria was saying as well. So important to be able to to be in control of our mood, because even myself, I'm like, I'm angry, I'm training, I'm happy, I train even harder, I'm sad, I'm like, oh, let me just go maybe for a run or just a walk as well, just be active. Because once we just sit down and start thinking about problems, about all the bad things that are happening, this is just going to bring us to the point where we maybe actually get depressed.
You've touched on some very important and serious points there as well, but absolutely and Maria as well, you're a prime example of somebody who's facing all of these various challenges within the home, and I've no doubt that your husband is a fantastic help to you. But often, I suppose our gender norms do play their part sometimes with these things, and I think with COVID, they certainly have. I know that various trade unions have released statistics to mirror what Bash has been saying, that the work has disproportionately fallen on the backs of women during this time with homeschooling and everything else. And while I've no doubt that men have been a fantastic support during the home at this time, I think that women have certainly had a lot to deal with in the past year, and I think it's so important that we raise awareness of these various challenges, and to remind ourselves that, hey, it's okay to be tired, it's okay to be exhausted. Everyone's doing a fantastic job and doing as best they can at the moment, holding things together. So it's important that we remind each other of those things. But Bashi, to me, you seem to be somebody who is, first of all, I don't think I've ever seen you break a sweat anyway. You never seem to be tired. You show up at every training session just with so much energy. Has there ever been a time in your life where you faced barriers to health and well-being, or you've faced challenges that affected you?
Right. So first about this energy, I said it so many times to the participant of the class. If it wasn't for them, sometimes I just feel like, oh, I can't do it myself as well. But they give me energy. And then that's why I always say, like, let's just don't mute ourselves. Like, I want to hear you moaning. I want to hear you screaming at me and shouting. And then I can push you harder. So that's what I'm saying. They give me energy. I give them energy. So yes, I try to push people as hard as we can. But I'm a human being. Sometimes I'm tired as well. But that's how it goes. But coming back to this question, yes. 2012, I had a car accident going to play table tennis tournament. Starting from the beginning, I started playing table tennis before I was born. My mom was pregnant when she was playing table tennis, and then everyone is joking like, oh wow, you're so good when you're so young. How come? Did you sleep with the table tennis bat under your pillow or something? And then me being 7-8 years old was like, no, I was playing before I was born. But anyway, so that's what I'm saying, like, all my life I was playing. And so that day in February 2012, we were going to play tournament here to Ipswich. We had a crash, and I had broken collarbone. I mean, I was out completely, I didn't remember nothing. Went to the hospital, they took me to a hospital. When I woke up, I saw the doctor. The first thing in my head was, please tell me nothing is broken and I can train. And he was like, no, your collarbone is broken. So obviously the next one was, how long do I have to be out of training? They couldn't answer straight away. I had a checkup visit week after. They say straight in for the operation. So I think 2 or 3 days after, I had to have an operation, and they said minimum 6 months. And for me, that was it. I was like, oh my God. Me, like when I was training 7 days a week, sometimes twice a day, how I'm going to survive. But I guess, I don't know, I mean, what could I do? I went home, and luckily I was living with my sister, but that time she was helping me. She was doing all sorts of things for me. And when the pain was gone after, let's say, I'd say 4 weeks, I said, like, that's it, I'm ready, I have to do something. And I started to do lots of walks, 2 or 3 hours walks. And then obviously my biggest fear was like, oh my God, I'm gonna put on weight. Now I'm not training and I'm just eating. So the walks, I think, helped as well. I didn't really feel like I put on weight. And one day, it was probably about 3-4 months after, the accident, I told my sister, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym just to say hi to my friends. And that's what happened. I went to the gym and I saw the treadmill and I walked on a treadmill and then I started jogging. I was like, actually, it's not so bad. I can do things. And then my trainer and my friend, we started doing, as Michelle said, if you can't use your arms, move your legs and things like that. So yeah, squats, lunges, some sit-ups. So 4 months after, I was ready to go back. But again, every month I think I had to check up with the doctors, and they were just amazed on like how quickly I healed. Because that's what they said, because you're training, your bones are so much stronger. So that's one of the benefits. But anyway, because I had the metal plate put in my shoulder, I had to have, well, I didn't have to. I decided I didn't like it. I want to have it taken out. So the quickest time was, I think, after a year. So once I was ready to go, that was it. I went to a hospital again, another operation. This time they said like, yeah, you should just rest maybe for a month because it has to heal. Weather was nice. It was in April, I think. The weather was nice. I was like, let's go play tennis 2 weeks after. So still with the dressing on my shoulder, and there was a little blood coming out, but I'm like, no, I'm playing. So it's just because I love it. And it just made me so much happier. It's just amazing how it's, I don't know, how it benefits me. It's just, and that's why I always tell people, it's just forget about forget physical side of it, because it's so important, but the mental side of it. And it, as we said, it doesn't have to be the gym. We can just dance, we can go for a walk, we can participate in some sports. As I said, I was playing tennis. It was amazing. So now I know I'm pushing sometimes too hard, and I'm in pain, but I just can't imagine living without exercises. So yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes even if I don't have time for like long workout, I'll just quickly, you can put something on YouTube, you can, just anything. As we said, even this morning class, we just started dancing at some point because it was fun. And just put the music that you like, and that's what's gonna make you going.
That's fantastic. That's really nice and you are dead right, and you've all been repeating this. It doesn't matter what form of movement you do, just as long as you move. We're not trees, after all, we don't have roots. We can move our bodies. And now that the weather is getting a little bit nicer, we can get outdoors and soak up a little bit of vitamin D as well, and see each other from a distance. And when it's safe to do so, we can see each other in larger groups outside, which is also, really important for our mental health, and just, laughing with friends, all this kind of stuff as well. So yeah, it's great. It's very uplifting. Basha, just as a final question, obviously we've got so many different classes of various abilities. For somebody who's just starting out and wants to join in a class and make friends and exercise with other people, what would be a great introductory class?
So out of the classes that we offer, I would say Tuesday circuit class, which is a class for the beginners, is a full body workout, but not really intense. There's no jumping. We're not going on the floor, because quite often there are people with different medical conditions joining this class. So it's a low impact, but still full body workout. People still get tired. I get tired because I always join in as well. And then I do feel the impact of this workout. So it's really good one. Then Francisco has got this mindfulness energy class on Wednesday morning as well. So for someone who just wants to learn about breathing exercises, just maybe connect the mind with the body a bit more, that's a really good one. And that's really, really low impact class. And yes, Wednesday evenings, we've got stretch and relaxation class, which I'm taking. So another one just to, just stretch our muscles, relax a little bit, mobilize our body a little bit more. And obviously through the week, we've got more classes that are a little bit more advanced on Thursday, boxing class on Friday, and then the famous Saturday one when we all feel like that's it, we're done after. At 11 o'clock, we just want to eat, shower and eat and rest. Yeah. But even for people who maybe sometimes we don't have the full hour to join the class, why not to, again, just dance a little bit, or get up in the morning, just do a few star jumps, go back to your primary school days, just few star jumps, move your arms, move your legs, go for a walk, go to the shop, don't drive, just walk. Silly things like that. And also on our website, on our app, there are some exercises for lower back, if some people might struggle with low back tension, and there are some exercises, and there are samples of classes as well. So if you can just do it for half an hour, just have a look and try to do it, watching the app. So there are ways. I always say excuses, you know, but for me, the best quote, the best thing that we can say is movement is the best medicine. And unless we are after some, big accident or something where we are said we shouldn't be moving, we shouldn't be active, anything else, seriously, just move, just be mobile. The longer you stay still, the harder it is going to be mentally and physically.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for your input, Basha. That's great. I'm conscious of the time a little bit, but I would just like to ask anyone, thanks again, everyone, for joining us today. But you're welcome to unmute your mics. Perhaps you might have questions for each other. Perhaps someone has mentioned something to do with their own experiences, or a tip, and you'd like to gain a little bit more insight into what they described. If anyone has a question, you can ask each other.
Yeah, so I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say I've been doing the classes, Chris's Don't Turn Alone classes, for about almost a year now. I was petrified of doing them because I was caring for two of my elderly parents. And I just didn't have the time. And because I've got some injuries as well, I didn't think it was going to work. That was a year before. So I said no to Chris then. And then I started last year, and it is like magic. It is like magic because I work as an editor, medical editor, and my work is on the computer, basically. It's no movement work. But I have learned to do some exercises on chairs as well, but the classes are just fabulous. So Basha's classes we're doing now, so the Tuesday one I do, and it's like brilliant. And I really would like one or two of those classes more in the week, you know. I've given some feedback to Chris about that. So they do have the other ones, the advanced ones, and I have taken those sometimes, but I just do it very slowly at my pace, you know, and I don't mind if I'm looking at the odd one out. But yeah, I just wanted to say it's magic. And for me, it's like a life savior because it's been so hard looking after the elderly. 92 years my dad was, and my mum's 85. And they're just like children who don't want to listen to anything, you know, and they're doing such dangerous things. And you just got no one to turn to. And I'm just amazed. There's not that much support out there, you know, to deal with these things. And I think even our authorities, they help children more than the old people. And it's something I'm learning. So anyway, Dad's gone, and we're still grieving for him. But these classes, again, coming back to these classes, exercise classes, they're just brilliant. There's no words to explain my gratefulness to them, you know, and how my body has reacted. I mean, I'm still not, my weight's not good, but I'm getting there, you know. I'm getting there. I just need more guidance, I think, on nutrition, I think, for the moment. But yeah, say that. Thank you.
Thanks.
I was just going to add something. One of the benefits, again, is keeping our weight on check, which we women are very, very conscious about it. So once we're happy with our weight, we stay more positive. So that brings us to like better mental state of our mind. So that's, yeah, as I always say, this should be on the side, the physical, mental health first, and then the weight, the look will come. but once we're happy with our look, we're happy in general. So that was just something I needed to add.
One thing I did also forget to say was Basha is fantastic at adapting exercises. So if anybody cannot do a particular move, or they struggle with a particular move or have an injury, she's brilliant at adapting the particular class move.
I think that would be really very, very useful. Thank you for making that good point, Maria, because I work for a charity and our beneficiaries are all unpaid carers, and we promote these classes to that community, and that would be a very significant barrier, I think. So that's really good to know. I mean, Chris has said, and I know that the classes are fantastic. So, and I've got to whiz because I've got another meeting to go to, but I wanted to say thank you so much, Roisin, and is it Basha and Michelle and the lovely lady who's chaired this, but I can't see your name on the.
Oh, sorry, I've got the don't tone, Rebecca.
Rebecca, yes, thank you so much. It's been really nice lunch break, so appreciate it. Fabulous organisation.
Thanks
Well done.
for joining us, Tracy.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I just wanted to say quickly, I just found out about this this morning. Sasha mentioned it, and I'm fairly new to Don't Tone Alone. I don't know why I didn't know more about it last year, but for some reason I didn't. So, but yes, again, it's good, and I couldn't agree more that you know, it's really important to exercise mentally. I'm the carer for my partner, who has got Asperger's, and he wasn't diagnosed with that until he was nearly 50, before I knew him actually. And there isn't much help out there for the older person who's got a condition like that. And you know, he can outwardly seem okay to a lot of people, but equally I know there can be flashpoints, and you know, this lockdown has been challenging for him. I mean, it's important for him to exercise actually, and he does, and he goes off to the park, and I just have to let him do it because it's for his own well-being, and if it works for him, then it works for me. But I'm undertaking a nutrition course myself at the moment, and so I did it from my own self-interest to improve my own health. Because I know I was suffering from inflammation in my stomach. So it's something I want to get rid of, because it just, too many people have it. So I've been learning a lot about this, you know, the sciences of foods and what's good to eat and what's bad to eat. And I'm not calorie counting, and my weight is pretty good now. And I did go down the route of Slimming World, but I've stopped that now because while it's great to lose weight, I need to lose weight healthily. And the only good thing I'll say about that was the power of the group. But this is another group, and with a healthier message in it, I think. And it's about changing my habits and recognizing bad habits in myself that sabotage me. You know, I was going to say, as far as the lockdown is concerned, I feel like I've got no excuse, because life could be worse for me. This feeling of waking up every morning with a sense of dread, and I don't know why I do. I get over it, but it's just, oh my God, another day. And it's a terrible feeling to have. Don't know where it's coming from, but I make myself get on with it, and I force myself to have plans. And I've got lots of positive things happening, so I don't know why that should be. Maybe it's just feeling overwhelmed at the moment. So if I'm feeling like that, I am sure there are others who are far, far worse, you know. And I'm helping out with family, helping out with my children and the grandchildren, especially with the being off school. It's like it's a mixed blessing in some respects. I think there's good things coming out of this lockdown too. I hope will carry on, like the classes and other things that have become fixtures in lockdown. So yeah, that's really all I wanted to say, and it's been good to hear and listen to what everyone's had to say. You know, thanks. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks very much, Claudette, for contributing. And you raised some really important points there as well about those feelings of dread, feeling overwhelmed. And it's great that you have voiced that, because so many of us are feeling like that, or might wake up in the morning and think, oh, you know, oh my God, it's another day, here we go again. But voicing it is so important, and it's empowering as well. It removes that elephant from the room and reminds us that it's okay for us to talk about these things, and it's okay for us to share moments where we're feeling like it's you know, a bit too much, or things get tough. But as you've said, every day you soldier on and you keep going, and that's the wonderful thing about it. I was speaking to Roisin earlier in the week, where she mentioned that, you know, women don't realize how strong they are, and it's very true. It was bringing it back to what International Women's Day is all about, you know, celebrating the achievements of women, and, you know, reminding each other just how fantastic we all are, really. So yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. With all the classes and the information that you provided, I will put together an email later, and I will send all class details out to the registered participants. So if anything was mentioned that you would like to perhaps sign up to, Fit by Phone, any of the circuit training classes, I'll send over the relative information so that you can take a look at those details. Again, just want to say, because I'm conscious it's pushing on, and I'm sure people are conscious about getting a bit of lunch in, but thank you again to everyone that has attended today. You've been fantastic, and to our co-hosts Roisin, Basha, Michelle and Maria, thank you all very much for carving out the time to speak with us today. And you've been very inspiring. I certainly feel very motivated, and very proud of what everyone has achieved. I think it's great. But thank you all very much for attending. If anyone doesn't have any more questions or insights, we can end. But thank you again.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
And
Bye.
keep moving.
Keep moving, keep dancing. Yeah.
Heading off.